again, football fans, and welcome to another episode, a Wednesday night, RFL All Night, a Wednesday night edition of Miners Live. I am your host, Chris Dunn, head coach and general manager of the Sacramento Miners. Looking forward to tonight's show. At the end of the show, I have what many of you have been waiting for this entire week for, probably the biggest reason that you're tuned in to the show tonight. We will be giving away gear. I will be giving away gear tonight. Finally, it's been about a year. For the most part, I only do Miners Live during the college series. During the actual RFL season, it just becomes a little bit too daunting. There's a lot going on, a lot of other stuff that I want to take care of. For those of you that are wondering, that is the Georgia Bulldogs in the background making some noise. Finally got a win, finally did something in the college series. So that is the Georgia Bulldogs you can hear barking in the background. But yeah, we're going to be giving away gear tonight. So I'm really excited. We finally hit the 100 threshold, and the t-shirt giveaway will commence. That will take place later on in the show. For those of you that have no idea what you're talking about, tuning into Miners Live for the first time, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and throw a message or in DM on Discord and just let me know, as we have a poltergeist walking in the door here tonight, just let me know that you have subscribed to the YouTube channel and you would like to be eligible for the t-shirt giveaway. You have until about 7:30. I would say I'll take entries up until about 7:30. So at Miners RFL on Twitter, at Miners RFL on Instagram, and obviously the YouTube channel. So be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. If you do subscribe, send me a DM. Again, send me a DM on Discord that says, hashtag subscriber tee or t-shirt giveaway, whatever you want to do. Throw a message in the chat here on YouTube so that I can also see it. I do have the wheel already made up. So if there are any entries that come in tonight, I will have to add those in on the fly. For those of you that have not already entered, as a matter of fact, I will go through and because I can do this right now. So what I'll do is I'll read through to you guys the names that I already have on the wheel. So if you've already messaged me, DM'd me, and I acknowledged it with a thumbs up earlier this week, this weekend, last week, whatever. So the names that I have on the wheel already: Ronnie Shanahan, Eric Strotter, Alvin Mack, Olin Shaw, Eric Ashley, Michael Blount, Daniel Silverio, Rohan Boxy, Luis Cardenas, DJ Evans, AAA, Rapid Fire, Kaishan Williams, Miles McCain, Chris Polk, Jacob McCall, and Anthony Fry. Those are all of the names as of right now eligible to win the t-shirt. So again, I say one last time, if you would like the opportunity to win some RFL gear, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and then send me a DM on Discord. Or even at this point, you've only got about 25 minutes left. So send me a message in here that says, that you subscribed and that you want the t-shirt. I can see Rohan here in the chat already. Negative Nancy here. I'm sorry, Rohan. Winning the division 2 years in a row isn't good enough for you. I know losing in the first round of the playoffs sucks, but that doesn't mean that you have to have a negative opinion about everything. Think positive, buddy. I got your back. Maybe, just maybe, you'll get a t-shirt. But appreciate everyone. I can see Coach Bax out here already. Cece, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I see you talking some smack a little bit earlier. Only allowed 2 catches so far on the year. I'm not surprised. Alvin Mack, Eric Ashley, Darius Hodge, what's going on? Kaishan Williams, I mentioned earlier, already in the running. He could go home with a Sacramento Miners t-shirt. So lots to get into. We will have the t-shirt giveaway later on in the show. Again, appreciate the support as always, guys. And so for all of that support throughout the year, this is what I have to offer for you. So again, there one lucky fan will take home a t-shirt. And so I look forward to doing that later on with you guys. That'll be pretty fun. In the meantime, I want to go over a couple things. And as always, I'm going to bring on my good buddy Mitchie here to help me out, go over some performances from this week, And before we get into the actual performances from this week, I did want to take a moment and just say, guys, I don't know how much you like to bet. Maybe you're not a gambling enthusiast like I am. But if you do like to wager on games, I would just like to throw out there that I have now 2 weeks in a row done the done deal where I picked 3 games, and both weeks have gone a perfect 3-0. So once again, last week, perfect 3-0. And then this week, here are the 3 games that I selected. If you remember, if you were listening last week on the show, towards the end of the show, I try to give away my 3 done deal games of the week where I take a look at the spread and I give you my picks to win for that week. So again, I had Washington. I feel like that's a little bit of a no-brainer, plus 3.5. Excuse me. LSU, guys, they're not good. Okay. We sat here last week and we talked about how they were 2-0, and Tennessee and LSU were the only undefeated teams in the SEC, and Georgia and Alabama were struggling, and the state of the SEC, and oh my God, cats and dogs living together, the world is coming to an end. LSU sucks. All right. So taking Washington plus 3.5, not that much of a deal for me, but an absolute done deal for the week's picks. Wisconsin at Oklahoma State. Guys, I know everybody loves to hate Oklahoma State, or Wisconsin, but the reality is they're not playing bad football. They've got a significantly better team than we've ever seen them have in the history of the college series. Okay. And they looked pretty good in that game against Notre Dame. They lost the game against Notre Dame. But again, if you remember last week, I picked Wisconsin plus 6.5 in that Notre Dame game, and they ended up winning. Not winning the game, but with the 6.5 points, you would have won had you placed the done deal bet on Wisconsin. And then the last one, I just didn't understand how this one made any sense whatsoever when we're talking about the number 1 team in the country, and they're playing at home, by the way. Like, what are we even thinking about? Never in the history of things has there been a home team that is the number 1 team in the world and they're getting points. The only way that this spread could have possibly made any sense to me whatsoever would have been if Monty Wyatt wasn't playing, or if half of Ohio State's defense wasn't playing in the game. It's the only acceptable way for something like this to happen, where the number 1 team in the country is playing at home and they're getting 3.5, not getting a half, not getting 1, not getting 1.5. They're getting a full 3.5, which means they could have lost the game by 2, they could have lost by 2 or 3, and you still would have won the bet. This was an absolute no-brainer pick here. And of course they ended up winning the game 2 weeks in a row, 3-0. That's a perfect 6-0 on the season. And on that note, Mitchie, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so as we can see, Dunn's actually doing pretty good this year. Last year, I don't remember your record, but I don't think it was 6-0 after the first 2 weeks of doing done deals.
No, and honestly, I think last year, I don't think I started doing it until like week 9 or 10. So it was a little bit different. Yeah, I remember the first one I did it in my car, because it was tough, because the spreads were coming out, right? Like, I'm doing Miners Live on Tuesdays then. The spreads were coming out at Tuesday afternoon at 2 or 3 o'clock, and I've got to try to get them before the show. So it was tough.
But yeah, I'm here.
So what's new?
Got my Campbell
what happened?
hat on.
Did your hair grow that quickly already, or what?
Nope, still looking luscious as ever, but
still looking sharp.
Just decided to throw on the welding cap this week.
So that's a welding cap?
Yeah, it's to prevent the molten metal from falling into my head.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that would happen if the molten metal fell in your head, though?
I pick it out of my hair every day, because I normally end up forgetting to put my welding cap on, and then I'm just scratching my head all evening, pulling out little pieces of metal. So
have you ever seen the movie Coneheads?
Coneheads? No, I haven't seen Coneheads.
No, I wonder if anyone in the chat has ever seen. Guys, if you've ever seen
Probably
the movie,
Anthony Fry. He's pretty old.
Yeah, Fry's my guy. Fry and I can get down with some of that 80s 90s talk that a lot of the younger guys can't get down with. So Anthony Fry, I'm sure you've seen the movie Coneheads, and if you have, you know why I'm making that reference right now. Is that cloth molten metal? What? Okay. All right. So what are your thoughts on this past week? Biggest takeaway.
This past week was pretty interesting, actually. Going ahead, is the deal.
I'm telling you.
But yeah, no, this past week was very interesting.
And then there's Rohan.
Simplest to say. There's quite a few games. Premier Day didn't disappoint in some games, some other games. It wasn't like obviously Florida State beating the brakes off of Iowa was surprising, but every other game was relatively interesting to watch. Never
were you that surprised? Were you that surprised with Florida State? Were you surprised because they won that bad, or were you just surprised because they won, period?
Well, I was surprised that they won 35-0. Like,
sure.
And also kind of winning, but like I could see Florida State winning 24-21. Yeah, I can see it. It's very possible. But winning 35-0, that was a tad bit surprising. But
I'm telling you, like I said this for a while, and it's not just because I'm a fan of Florida State, but last year we saw this team at times look decent, and they have nobody. Like they have absolutely nobody in terms of submissions, right? They don't. Yeah, they got a middle linebacker. Okay, fine, but they have nothing on offense. Their offense is performing, not terribly. I guess is the best way of putting it.
Average.
Yeah, and they've got nothing but generics.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had a user submitted quarterback. Imagine if they had a quarterback with 99 awareness and 90 throw power, and anybody other than Will Stern. Imagine if they had a tight end with 90 speed and 99 catching and 90 release and 90 catch in traffic. Like this Florida State team could be so much different. And I think we're starting to see that with a lot of other teams. And we'll get into it a little bit later. There's something I want to go over with you in a minute here. But yeah, what other games were kind of stood out?
So my last game we'll touch on. Obviously, there's some other good games, but it's your favorite team, the Maryland Terrapins.
Of course you did.
The Maryland Terrapins versus the UCLA Bruins. I never thought in my life I'd say I watched a UCLA game and it was interesting because they just don't have anything. They have Devin Diggs at quarterback now, but that was a slugfest, 43-37. Connor Jameson had 236 yards and a touchdown. Lewis Happ, their 77 overall generic tight end, had 198 yards receiving. Like they were slinging the ball. And then Kareem Parker obviously put up his numbers on the ground. But
dude's a beast.
Oh yeah, Kareem Parker's really good. You must hate seeing him in a Maryland uniform.
I mean, look, I joke. I really don't like the Maryland. I don't like the Maryland helmets.
You don't like their flag.
I don't like. It's not that. Well, yeah, I do hate their flag in particular, but I also don't like the idea of putting your flag all over the place. I don't think your helmet needs to be like a freaking Jerry Garcia went to Woodstock and got extremely out of his rocker. Like, I don't think you need to have these crazy psychedelic wilding out helmets. I also, if you guys are sick and tired of me complaining about Maryland's helmet, you know who else's helmet I can't stand? Oregon. Okay. It's really bad. It's really, really, really bad.
So you just hate teams with creativity.
Well, first of all, it's not creative. They took a yellow helmet and they put chrome silver lines down the side. They don't look like duck feathers, people. They don't. In no way, shape, or form do those look like duck feathers. If you go put friggin' Donald Duck on the helmet if you want, it would look better than what they have right now.
I always love Myers Live because you're not afraid to tell us how it is and your true deep dark secrets.
No, I tell you, spoiler alert, no one is getting an Oregon Ducks or a Maryland Terrapins t-shirt as part of Miners Live in any future giveaway.
So what's your thoughts on Baylor's uniforms? Because I despise them with a passion.
Miners Coward. I appreciate it, CC. I'm actually a big fan of Colin Coward. I know a lot of you have mentioned that over the year, that I remind you a lot of Colin Coward. I like to think that Colin Cowherd reminds you of me, but I digress. So let's talk about Baylor for a second. I'll get into their uniforms. I like creativity because I like seeing teams have different uniforms on a week in and week out basis. However, sometimes they're a little bit too much. I do, and what I don't like, I will always criticize a uniform where the jersey and the jersey and the name color are the same. So I think it was like Baylor was wearing their dark green jersey, and the names on the back of the jersey were dark green, and you just couldn't tell. Or it was like a black, maybe it was a black jersey with dark green names on the back, and you can't read anything. It just looks odd, and it just kind of looks stupid to me. There was one thing Rohan said something in the chat. I want to find it for you, Mitch, because I do want to talk about this a little bit with you. Here we go.
Points.
Yes, here it is. I expected a lot more points from the Michigan and Baylor offenses. So real quick, I'm just going to say this. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't particularly see that.
Why did you think that? First of all, Baylor's offense is the worst offense of a good team that we have in this college series. And the only team that comes close is Miami. And the only reason why it's not Miami is because Miami's significantly better than Baylor.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to give Miami a pass, and I'm just going to say Baylor's offense is just so bad that it's literally preventing them from winning games. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. They are actively hurting themselves every time the offense steps on the field. And I never thought I'd say that about an offense. They're actively hurting themselves.
All they have to do is think about it. All they had to do was not turn the ball over 5 times 2 weeks ago, and they probably could have won the game by only scoring 14 points or 10 points. They could have won the game, but they didn't. And then this Michigan game, Michigan's nice. Michigan's got some players. I get it. Austin Briley could be a really good player in the RFL one day. We all know the shortcomings of Austin Briley, and that's fine. He knows what those shortcomings are. He knows the things that he has to work on. He knows that when he gets to the next level, there's certain things that he's going to have to do to impress in the RFL. This isn't news to him. This isn't news to you, Mitch. This isn't news to me. No. This isn't news to anybody. But I promise you, Austin Briley is going to work on those things and get better. But the reality is this Michigan team right now, look, their running game is not good. You can say what you want. Their running game is not good. And their inconsistency at quarterback play, Baylor should have beat this team.
In theory, yes. Yeah. That's the interesting part about both teams are neither of them are particularly using the run game sufficiently. Because obviously I'm not a huge fan of True Bronze, but I do respect his game. That I know that he deserves more than 10 carries. And the same thing with JC Johnson. I do like JC Johnson. He runs tough, and that would very much be a Jakari Torres comp, if anything, from last year. Yes, I see your question, Lito. It's a welding cap, not a wig. But both teams need to use the run game more often, and Atomo just needs to sit in the pocket and throw the ball like he's supposed to as a quarterback, and less read option, quarterback running in all those shapes and forms.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see comments in the chat, Baylor's QB holding in the back. Look, why is Akira Otomo running read options? Why does Akira Otomo have 5, 6, 7, 8 rushing attempts per game? Like you mentioned, True Bronze has talent. He has ability. We saw games last year where True Bronze looked like he was a top 3 or top 5 running back at times in certain games. He showed flashes. And now, to your point, it's almost like he's getting the D'Amico Brewer treatment that we saw from Oklahoma in weeks 1 and 2. He's getting 10 carries. He's getting 12 carries. That's not enough, people. When you have a good, and I'll say great defense, when you have a defense that is as good as Baylor's, what is the key to winning football games? It is grinding the game out and letting your defense win, and grinding the game out, time of possession, running the ball, leading the game in first downs, leading the game in time of possession, all of those things. You need to have, at minimum, True Bronze should have 17 carries a game.
Yeah.
And Akira Otomo should have a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 0. Okay? He should not be running the ball at all.
Okay, I kind of disagree with that. Like 2
Why?
or 3,
what is he doing?
2 or 3, he does have moderate potential when he does it. But when he's doing it obsessively, like 7 to 9 times, and fumbling 4 out of the 9 times, it's not effective. He technically can gain yardage. Now, obviously, quarterbacks aren't sliding, so that also plays a huge factor. They're taking contact, but he can technically run the ball. It's not Austin Briley is trotting like when Austin Briley runs it, he's trotting. When Atomo's running, at least he looks like he's athletic.
Atomo looks
So
like he's running with Alvin Mack on his shoulders.
okay, you clearly didn't watch Austin Briley run the read option because oh my lord, he looked like your friend Tom Brady. He couldn't move.
My boy's 45 years old, literally today. Okay, today's his 45th birthday.
Tom Brady's
okay,
birthday.
so have a little respect for the man.
Hey,
Well,
did you watch that combine tape? He couldn't
mean,
run back when he was 22.
Well, he had a little bit of a belly. He had dad bod. He had more of a dad bod when he was 22 than he does at 45.
Well, just look at him at 22 and 24. He looks better now. It's crazy. It's crazy what Mon Marison can do. And the avocado ice cream.
That's it,
For all
man.
the young kids in the chat, avocado ice cream. Give it a try. It's made Tom Brady look youthful at the quick age of 45.
Deshaun Evans here. Otomo turns it up the rest of the season. Man, you're just lying. Like, I understand I'm going to throw that up there when I see it. And so go ahead. You can have a take. But that's just an incorrect take and you're just wrong.
It's honestly upsetting because DJ Evans has high potential to be a great wide receiver. His quarterback is just not helping him. Like, at least last year with Yoda Speller, he was relatively bad, but at least he could throw the ball to Shark Inovari and have big time plays.
Yeah, I mean, look,
was just not doing that.
Well, and even this past week, I think Evans had 7 catches for 74 yards or something. That's
6 for like 68 or something like that.
Yeah, okay, so that's a respectable game.
That's respectable.
Especially when your offense doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
Like, literally, imagine if, I don't even know. There's a million different scenarios of quarterbacks that Evans could have throwing in the ball.
What happened in week 1? That's the question. They scored 42. I know their defense played good.
Well, didn't they score 14?
42 points.
Yeah, but they got two defensive touchdowns, didn't they? I mean,
they at least won. I can't remember the second one, but I know their defense played really good. But Atomo didn't look horrific in week 1. What has changed?
All right, so here we go. Like, I love how Darius Hodge. I like how Miami's offense gets shade, but we're averaging 28 a game. I don't care if it's somewhat inflated by the first game. Well, we do. We don't care if you don't care that it's inflated by the first game. The rest of the league does. It's significantly inflated.
24 points against A&M. Simple answer, checkmate. As simple as that. 24
points against A&M. Okay, A&M's a garbage team.
Baylor
should be scoring 24 points against A&M. And by the way, don't even get me started on your performance against Texas A&M because you could have very easily lost the game. I was actually watching the game late in the fourth quarter thinking, oh my God, Miami's going to lose this game. And then, yes, you got hot and you got a couple of late rushing touchdowns. Congratulations. It looks good in the stat book, but it doesn't look good anywhere else. Yeah, we can look and say averaging 28 points a game. So what? Without the final 14 in the last 2 minutes of that game and the giant performance in week 1, we're talking about what here? We're talking about 6 quarters?
They scored 20 points against Michigan in like 4 minutes. They had 0 points with like 5 minutes left in that game.
Yeah, and furthermore, I don't understand why Miami feels the need to constantly defend their offense. Do you not realize that your offense is inferior? Like, are we saying something? Because I'm not the only one. Are we seeing something that nobody at Miami is seeing? And their offense is a juggernaut? And we should feel bad because we criticize them for having a poor offense? Like,
the only person on their offense is Hodge, who actually gets me excited to watch the offense.
Sure.
Raymond Gambino has his flashes, but none of their wide receivers are saying yes. Polk is not saying yes. Let me watch Miami's offense. I'm praying that they punt the ball so I can watch the defense. I know that's a little drastic, but like the defense is the fun part to watch.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's drastic at all. I think that's fairly accurate. I would say there's probably 5 teams that we feel exactly that way about. I don't like watching Alabama's offense. I like watching Alabama's defense. I don't like watching Baylor's offense. I love
I
watching their
definitely don't like that.
defense. You know, I mean that's a fair point for you to say, Mitch, because nobody is watching. I'm listen, Hodge. Your parents are watching Miami's offense. That might be it, right? I don't know. You'll get drafted from Miami's offense, and I don't know if there's another player on the offensive side of the ball that isn't like maybe an offensive lineman.
Jehovah Hampton is the
Yeah,
only other
right.
player
Like
that will
so,
go in the first 3 rounds.
right. So as there's Hampton and Hodge are the only players that will sniff anything quicker, anything before, like you said, second or third round. And
Simple as
that's
that.
just the way that it is. But yet, look at the roster. Look at all the submitted players. What do you want us to say? What do you like? Do you want us to compare you to some of the other high-powered offenses? Look, Arizona State's got a better offense.
Yep.
They're 1-2. I'd rather watch Arizona State's offense than Miami's offense. I'm not saying that means Arizona State's better. Relax. It is what it is, guys. If you don't like it, then figure out a way to get better players or work within the scheme that you have. I mean, a lot of you have had 2 years now to see what kind of playbook, what kind of plays are run, come up with players that can work well within the system. I mean, I haven't seen a wide receiver do anything at Miami in 3 years. Even going back to the draft,
Even literally even the first year with Drew Brewer, Miami has
nothing.
never had anything offensive that's exciting unless it was the running back in the mirror and now Hodge. That's the only 2 exciting things.
Again, Hodge, you're the only one. Legitimately. Give me someone else. I encourage someone else to come on here and say that Miami's offense is good. I mean, I guess would you like me to reword it? Would you like me to say that Miami's offense isn't bad, they're just not good? Is that better? Would you rather I just say Miami's offense is mediocre? Because I don't think that would be enough for you. I think if I said Miami's offense is mediocre, you would say, "Oh my God, you're hating on Miami's offense." No matter what I say, if I said they're good, you'd say no, they're great. If I say they're bad, you say no, they're not bad. You just want to disagree with everything. Being the number 1 team in the country last year wasn't good enough. Winning the conference is never good enough. Nothing at Miami is ever good enough. Ever. Like, and I can get alums to come on and they'll back it up. I could get Lito Loso to come on here right now. I can get Chris Polk to come on here right now. And they will tell you, Hodge, that the offense isn't good. So I don't know I don't understand like who you're trying to convince. Because I mean, at this point, you're not going to convince me. How about you, Mitch?
Well, here's the thing when we talk about these quarterbacks, because obviously as we're reading the chat that Polk's saying that we're not saying that his quarterback's playing an impact. He's not losing football games. I'll give you that much. He's not losing them, but he's not elevating you guys to win.
He played really good in week 1.
He
played
amazing
really,
in week 1.
really
He
good
played
in week
really
1.
good, but it's not like he's not elevating Miami, like taking them to the next level. Like I remember in season 2, they were trying to trade DJ White to Oregon for Owen Jack, like trading. They were trying to get me to say, "Well, I'll give you DJ White, you give us Owen Jack." Could you imagine what that offense could have been with Owen Jack? And then furthermore, Alan Morning was the backup quarterback at Miami before he went to Oklahoma. Could you imagine what Alan Morning could do in Miami's offense? Again, their wide receivers are iffy at best, but the run game would be the same because Brewer and Hodge are 1A, 1B, 1, 2, however you want to regard it. But I think Alan Mourning could elevate the offense more than Polk does. He's not losing the game. That's the key thing. He's not losing it, but he's not elevating it to the next level, saying, yes, Kadavian Polk is the reason why Miami is winning football games at such a high rate.
Yeah. I mean, look, the reality is the offense doesn't have to score 3 touchdowns to win games because the defense is almost never going to give up 3 touchdowns. Exactly. Right. So as long as Miami scores, if Miami scores 23 points a game, they're probably going to win 10 out of 12 games.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the offense is great. That doesn't mean that it's good. And then whatever. Call semantics all you want. The offense just isn't that great. We'll move on. Let's talk about some other performances from week 1.
I was gonna say, how about some boomers and busters?
Yeah, so let's do it. So let's get into the boomers from week 1. We had some pretty standout performances. I didn't get a chance to scour a lot of the Saturday afternoon matinee games, so I didn't get a chance to really look at a lot of those performances. But if you have some in there, Mitchie, that you remember that you thought about, let me know.
I was going to say if Connor Jameson, okay,
he's not.
Connor Jameson should be on here.
Yeah. So, like Javier Santana, I wanted to put him up here because, I don't think this Washington team is getting enough credit. And I think Javier Santana is performing really well for them. 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. Trey Drain and Tajay Gaddy, the connection that they had for West Virginia was unbelievable. 5 touchdowns from Tajay Gaddy. I don't recall. Maybe you do, Mitch. Do you remember a 5 touchdown performance? When was the last 5 touchdowns?
Jeff Blade had 5.
He did have 5. That's right. Yeah. Do you ever remember a 6 dating back to last year at all?
6. Owen Jack had 6. Not last year. I don't believe there was a 6, but in season 2, Jack had 6.
Yeah. Jay Watt, big game out of him. Look, only 3 catches, but the 1.21 Jay Watt, 3 catches, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then forgive my I forgot to change the
logo typo.
The logo in the position there on this one, but
Tyler Cage, quarterback for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Tyler Cage at Alabama, linebacker at Alabama, 16 tackles, 2 for loss, an interception brought back for a touchdown.
Win the game at that.
Yeah, I think this Alabama team needed that win. We talked a little bit about how they were. I think we said that they were struggling, but the reality is we just expected them to be 3-0 at this point, and they had that week 2 loss.
Yeah, they choked against Texas.
So, but Texas is playing.
Oh yeah, Texas
all right,
is playing good. Like it's a respectable loss on paper, but blowing a 20-point lead, not so respectable.
Right. And it's not like you blew a 20-point lead to, Ohio State or USC or, Miami or TCU or whatever. You would never blow a 20-point lead to Miami unless the defense ran a couple back for a touchdown. So I guess you wouldn't have to worry about that. Anyone else here? You said Connor Jameson. So talk about your boy.
Jameson had seven catches, 236, 36 yards and a touchdown in his performance against UCLA. And
yeah, I see you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Tyler Cage has the athleticism to play corner, so I don't see too many problems with that. Yeah, like Tyler Cage stands at 6'3", 230. That's CC. Literally, that's just CC playing corner. So, yeah, as Pecan says, David Leathers also had a good game. 10 tackles, a pass deflection. Yeah, Tyler Cage is the same size as CC. Actually, he's an inch shorter than CC. So, just saying.
Yeah. So, for those of you wondering, like, how do you cornerback Ohio State? Like, what are you doing? So, you'll find this out in a minute. Spoiler alert, I'll just tell you right now. I ran out of time trying to put these all together before the show, and I didn't have time to put the bustas together for the week. So I was scrambling to try to get these together for you before I came on the air. So I just lapsed and ended up saving it. And I forgot to change to Alabama and linebacker. So forgive me. I made a mistake. This is for those of you that want to compare me to Colin Cowherd. This is when Dunner was wrong. Okay, I'll give you when Dunner was right, and this is when Dunner was wrong. I forgot to change the logo. Tyler Cage is not a cornerback. He does not play for Ohio State. He is a linebacker that plays for Alabama. We all good?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Maurice Rising. What do we got here? Pecan and Maurice Rising showed up huge on that last drive against UF. Cage had the game-winning pick, but Rising shut down UF on those last 2 plays. What are your thoughts on Maurice Rising so far this season? I feel like he was probably a top 3 corner.
I had top 5. He was like, well, it honestly comes down to what a person's opinion is on Savage. Obviously, that's Lito's second player.
Yeah.
And Lito loves to like play torment of, is he going to the draft? Is he coming back? Is he going to the draft? Is he coming back? So it really depends on where you play him in that role. But
regardless, he's probably not going to get boosted because he's probably going to keep.
Yeah, I know he's not going to get
Lito.
boosted.
So
but still on more than likely, like Savage probably still gonna be like a 75 normal because he is a really good corner. So even that's a pretty good generic.
Right.
So
I just think that I feel like at the end of last season, Rising was better. I feel like his stock was he got up to maybe cornerback 4. So I probably would have had him somewhere between cornerback 3 and cornerback 6. But I feel like now he's like much closer to like the cornerback 5, cornerback 6, cornerback 7. I don't know that his stock has gone up at all.
At the end of last year, obviously before Robert Harper was dropped for inactivity, my top 5 corners would have went CC, Groom, Savage, Rising, and Harper. But
Harper was legit.
He had 8 picks. He has the interception record. Just happened to not be active and get dropped. So he technically will forever go down the history books. But that's unfortunate. But yeah, now looking at where Rising falls, he's probably like corner 5, 6 ish. Obviously, Joel Howard has exponentially shot up the charts through the first 3 weeks with his performances.
Right. I mean, look, there's obviously going to be some moving up and down the ranks because there is there's more people, right? We had more people brought in entering College Series 4. So I just, it'll be interesting. I know I brought this up with you and I talked about this with you a little bit off air earlier today. Starting next week, I'm trying to put together a coaches poll. So I'm going to send forms out to coaches in the league, and coaches are going to submit I'm either going to do top 5 or I might do top 10 in terms of the College Series teams. I think I might do top 10 teams, and it'll be completely anonymous, so that no coach will have their top 10 rankings out there, so that will remain secret for everyone. But then also I want to put together top 5 players, basically not based on performance this season, based on draft. So like top 5 draft prospects for cornerbacks, and we'll have a form sent out, and every coach that wants to participate will be able to fill out the form, and then I'll have those top 5 rankings, and I'll try to update it. I'll see if maybe we do it every week. It might not need to do it every week because
I think every week might be a little.
Yeah, I don't know how much is going to change on a week-to-week basis. But if I do it next week, that'll be right after week 4.
4, 8, 12.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then we do it again after week 8 and do it again right at the end of the season. I think that'll be pretty good to do. So for those of you coaches that are out there, do not worry. I'm not going to try and ask you for your top 5 at every position and then steal it and make notes to, use it on draft day against you. It'll be completely anonymous. I'd love to get as many people, as many coaches involved that would like to participate. Obviously, the more coaches that participate, the more anonymous everything will be, and the the more all-encompassing of the league it'll be, and I think that just makes for more well-rounded conversation and debate. So keep an eye out for that for all you coaches that are out there watching right now. If you want to, if you have questions, feel free to DM me. I know I've reached out to a bunch of guys already, so I'll try to work on those forms and get those out to you later this week so that we can get that filled out and I can get everything put together for next week's show. I don't have a graphic here, Mitchie, for the Bustas, but we talked about True Bronze a little bit, and I think it's worth noting that, once again, kind of a busta.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not a buster on his own accord. He's just a buster because the Baylor offense just doesn't want to use him. And again, unfortunately, the same essence goes for Swann again. Elijah Swann had a very similar echelon in this game against Clemson. And then staying in this game, I unfortunately learned that Andre Campbell got absolutely cooked by Michael Simmons for... I don't know if he was covering him every single catch he got, but Michael Simmons ended the game with 9 for 178 and a touchdown. And according to QPOC, Andre Campbell was covering him. So, again, I unfortunately didn't get to watch that matchup play for play, but at some point, Andre Campbell got cooked. Andre Campbell would be another player up there in the corner list that's now kind of tumbled.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about him a little bit earlier, Elijah Swann. How is last year even possible when this year is just so bad? I mean, we're talking
they had three submitted linemen that all bit the dust and all got replaced.
I guess, and if you want to just say everything was due to the O-line, that's fine, but 42 carries, 138 yards through 3 games, that's like 45 yards a game. That's really bad.
One, they're not feeding them, and two, when they are feeding them, the O-line's not blocking for them. So it's a horrific combination that's happening in Chapel Hill. They're not giving him the ball, and when he does get the ball, he's not able to get yards because the defensive tackles are staying in front of him when the ball is handed off.
Right.
And they can't run stretch because the tackles can't get out and seal the edge. So it's like a dead fish in water, and it's really unfortunate because I had such high hopes for Swann.
Well, and by comparison here, we talked about J.C. Johnson in Michigan and how I think Michigan's running attack is mediocre at best. It's borderline bad. And J.C. Johnson, 43 carries, 158 yards. For as bad as J.C. Johnson might be doing right now, and I feel like he's significantly underperforming and not playing well at all, he's better than Elijah Swann. And Elijah Swann was way better than J.C. Johnson, in my opinion, last season.
Oh, yeah. Elijah Swann, was RB, 4. Obviously, Creel was a thing last year before he got dropped. But, Elijah Swann was really good. Minus that ACC championship game. Oh, my, that pained me. It was his 3 fumbles. That was painful. But
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was bad. Unfortunately, he single-handedly lost that game for
He did. He did. They were in it. They could have beat Miami.
That's the thing that people do not I don't know if they fully give UNC their respect. Literally, UNC took Miami to the ropes twice in both the games they played. Literally, Miles Mccain was saying on the 4-yard line when time ran out in the first game. If they scored the touchdown on that play, we'll never know. They win, and then if Swann doesn't fumble 3 times in the ACC championship, again, more than likely they do win because they would have probably had at least one more touchdown because Tyler Matthews had 79 speed. For some reason, their free safeties at UNC just can't catch a break with their athleticism. They had Matthews had 79 speed last year. They recruit Cam Johnson this year, 90 speed. And then Cam Johnson comes in with 72 excel in agility. I'm like, they can't catch a break at free safety. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. But they probably win because they literally Miami blocked a kick against UNC. That was a crucial moment. Bo Slauson doesn't jump for the ball. Rack catches it. That's a touchdown. There's a lot of instances last year where UNC could have they could have beat Miami twice.
Yeah.
and that's not something many teams last year could say.
Trey Drain, thanks for the shout out on the Boomers for week 3. You got it, man. Like, look, you go out and put up those numbers and ball out. Doesn't hurt when your quarterback throws for, 300-400 yards and 5 touchdowns. So,
that doesn't hurt at
good
all.
week. Good week. I did want to point something out because Pecan brought up a name that I had looked at earlier, and I'm not surprised that he's a bust because the position in general at this particular school has just been a bust for the last couple of years. Last year, their quarterback was the worst quarterback in the league, in my opinion. So bad that they brought in Aiden Simino, and now LSU's quarterback play is only better than that of Will Stern at Florida State. Like I would make the argument that the only quarterback in the college series that Aiden Simino is better than is Will Stern. And I don't even want to make that argument. I would still probably hold firm that LSU's quarterback is the worst in the league. I think Will Stern is better. I think what Will Stern is doing for Florida State is significantly better than anything Aiden Simino is doing for LSU.
Well, David Mayer for Texas A&M is definitely throwing his hat in for the candidacy of worst quarterback. Because the crazy part about
Will play Miami. Like, come on, give him a little bit of a break.
Yeah, but like, okay, literally, this is where's he at? 707 yards, 58% completion, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, 80%, 80 QBR. And unfortunately, Will Stern's not playing terrible. He's got a 111 QBR, 1,024 yards passing, 72% completion, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. So I think it's even unfair to say that Simino is better than Will Stern because, in theory, currently Will Stern's not playing terrible. And that pains me to say because I don't like him.
What do we got here? Let's look at some of these. Like, who, if we were to pick the worst quarterback as of right now.
I was going to say, well, in theory, that's technically Alan Mourning because he has 1 touchdown to 8 interceptions.
But well, yeah, but no one. I mean, Alan
Mourning's better than that.
Yeah, Alan Mourning is still one of the first 3 or 4 quarterbacks taken on draft day.
Yeah,
maybe 5. At worst case, he's 5th quarterback taken. Mm-hmm. But like you look at a guy. I mean, again, some of these teams that. I mean, look, Danny Montgomery is a generic at Stanford. It's only 73 overall, but 7 interceptions through 3 games. I mean, look, I know that Monty Wyatt and I know that Alan Mourning have more than that, but I think that those may have been anomalies. Alan Mourning's 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions. That's just bizarre to me. I don't know.
You've never seen in your life.
I just don't understand how that's happening. I don't know if maybe the playbook's the same. Everything's the same. There's got to be some sort of difference in the personnel, in the players. I'm trying to think like Michael Smith Jr., Enrique Bird. Enrique Bird had a good season for them last year. 12 catches right now for 112 on the year. He has the 1 touchdown.
Yeah, the long touchdown.
And then Michael Smith Jr., 10 catches for 112 as well. No touchdowns. I mean, D'Amico Brewers is leading the team in receptions with 18. So, I mean, without D'Amico Brewer right now, Oklahoma's probably 0-3.
Yeah, probably. Because I remember talking with Forbes when he was looking at the stats before the game was even played on Friday. That he's like, I think Oklahoma only won because Danny Montgomery threw 4 picks, and I'm like, you might actually not be wrong here because like Alan Mourning had 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So in theory, like they only won like 21-10 because they had 3 offensive touchdowns, and then they had a pick 6 by Trey Brown to take it to 28, and then they had 2 field goals to take it to 34. So. Yeah.
What else we got for busters? It's a little bit concerning for me. And I saw this a couple weeks ago. I actually included him on the busters list for week 2, I think it was, or maybe it was week 1. Charles Hemingway, offensive lineman at Baylor, had 2 sacks. Like we're through 3 weeks now. So, and guys, you have to remember that sacks allowed is a key component of draft stock, I guess, because it's really the only stat other than pancakes,
The
which I don't know.
metric.
It's the only metric that Smitty has to go by in terms of creating these prospects for the draft. So, other than watching all of them and calling their games and watching them make plays, watching them get out in front and make nice lead blocks down the field to spring backs for long touchdowns, all that we have to go off of is sacks allowed. And so entering the year, we were talking about Baylor. Their entire offensive line, right, is all submitted players. That being said, right now, Charles Hemingway has allowed 2 sacks, and Eric Ashley, who could be one of the best offensive linemen come draft day, is giving up 3. So, I mean, you got to figure that's hurting. That's significantly hurting potential draft stock, right? Like, I don't know what to make of this Baylor team. And then you look at Kevin Williams, he's given up 2 sacks. Terrence Brewster, he's given up 2 sacks. The
only guy who has not is Olin Shaw.
The only player, like, we've got 5 user-submitted offensive linemen, and they're all giving up multiple sacks. They've all given up basically at least 1 sack per game. Just under 1 sack per game so far, with the exception of Olin Shaw. And maybe
Baylor's O-line got terrorized this past week by Michigan.
And it's tough.
Had a week. Kwity Paye had a week.
Let's give Eric Ashley, I guess, a little bit of benefit of the doubt. He got lit up for 2 sacks by 2, NFL first round draft picks. Like, come on, that's kind of tough. But yeah, I mean, just look, North Carolina, Ricky Tate at North Carolina, 3 sacks allowed. Lars Johnson had a little bit of hype at the beginning of the season. First year prospect, 2 sacks allowed. In West Virginia, they've got some user submitted offensive linemen. Joel Boone, 2 allowed. Jamarcus Carter, 3 allowed. Mike Lopez allowed. And we're talking, and it's not just like Joel Boone, 92 overall. Jamarcus Carter, 90 overall. Between the 2 of them, they've allowed 5 sacks. You go back to Baylor, 90 overall, 88 overall, 85 overall. So the 85 and 87. So the overalls from the Baylor offensive linemen are a little bit lower. So, giving up sacks here and there. West Virginia's got 2 offensive linemen that are 90 or above overall. And collectively, they've given up 5 sacks between the 2 of them. And one of them is your left tackle. Like, if your left tackle is giving up a lot of sacks, that's not good. Shout out to Tajay Gaddy for not throwing an interception yet this season.
Yeah, that's really impressive. 11 touchdowns, 0 picks.
When you're getting
in this year of picks,
and clearly really you're getting some pressure because your offensive line is letting guys through.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Dunn, because I am an offensive lineman in real life, and I have played the position all my football career. Yes, I understand 3 sacks is bad in 3 weeks,
right?
But we have to look at it in hindsight that sometimes you actually have to watch the play and see if that player is responsible or if they just got credit with it. Because that's something that I like to do. I like to watch offensive linemen, and last draft, I went through all the offensive linemen and I was watching them to see did they actually give up the sack? Because this is the thing of Madden that I've actually learned from watching O-linemen give up sacks. Whoever touches the player first is the person who gets credited with allowing the sack.
Which is weird because a lot of
Pat McNeil had so many sacks allowed because the center makes first contact with the defensive tackle, and then Pat might be going to chip the other defensive tackle, but he hit the 1 tech first, and then he went out with the 3. The right guard gets beat by the 1, gets sacked, but Pat was the first one to touch him, so he gets credit with the sack. So we got to kind of look at these offensive linemen and see if they actually allowed the sack or if it was someone else. Because maybe Olin Shaw allowed the sack, but one of his guards got credited with it. We don't know. You got to go actually watch the game and see what happens.
Right. So, it was a pulling guard or something, but he made contact with him first.
Yeah, there's a lot of different situations. And the very unfortunate part is Smitty doesn't have the time to actually go and
Right.
analyze this exact type of stuff. That's like, oh, well, technically the guard touched him first, but the guard left, so the center took over the block and the center left. Yada, yada, yada.
Right. It's
People
tough.
like you don't have time to actually go do that unless you're someone like me who just for some reason is actively going to watch offensive linemen and say, well, this guy didn't actually allow the sack because it was Kevin Hatcher. That's the example from last draft. On the stat sheet, he allowed 4 sacks, but when I actually went and watched the game, he only allowed 1 in actually he got beat. He only allowed 1 of the 4 sacks that he was credited with. So that's just one example that I have.
So Cam Baker brings up a good point here, and it's legit, and I think it's a question that we all have, and I assume he's talking about Baylor here. Is the O-line hurting them, or is the QB hurting the O-line? Right, because we talk about Baylor and we talk about the O-line and giving up some of these sacks, and we talk about Atomo and the horrendous play from the quarterback, and Baylor's going to lose 5 games this year. Baylor's not going to make the Final Four. They're not.
Definitely not.
They're not going to make the Final Four. They're going to lose 5 games this year, and 4 of those games that they lose are because of the offense. Maybe the defense gives up a bunch of points in one game and they lose to a tough opponent, but otherwise, chances are they're going to have 4 or 5 games this year that they lose because of their offense. And so Cam Baker brings up a good point that we have to kind of think about here. Is it the offensive lineman that is making Atomo run? Look, I said I don't want Atomo to run the ball at all. Is Atomo running the ball because the offensive line is letting guys through too easily and he's kind of forced to run? Or is the offensive line getting a bad rap because Atomo is just inefficient and ineffective and they can't hold a block forever, and Atomo doesn't get rid of the ball? So eventually over time, coverage sack down the field, whatever you want to call it, they're going to end up getting credited with a sack allowed. But the reality is Atomo just didn't get rid of the ball. Like, what do you think that this is? The Baylor offense here has kind of been a theme a little bit for the show. Do you think this is more about the offensive line underperforming or just the inability of Atomo at all?
I definitely think I don't want to say that Baylor's O line's playing bad because I obviously have to actually go watch and see how these sacks happened. But Atomo holding the ball and running around like he has the chicken with the head cut off,
Right.
those definitely are not helping the O line in particular. But obviously O linemen do get beat. Like I'm not gonna say the O linemen are perfect, but I definitely think that it plays a factor into how the O line is being perceived because obviously it's Baylor, it's the Baylor block party. They're not running the ball, so you can't get their credit in their run block. And then if Atomo's running around like he has no head and they're allowing sacks, then are we really getting any information from this? So I don't know. It's interesting. Miles Mccain is another interesting case study for this because I know he's got sacked a couple times, and sometimes he's holding the ball, and sometimes he's trying to roll out. There's nothing worse. Actually, technically, this is a good example in that Georgia game. Miles made some really impressive throws under pressure, particularly the one that was a bootleg that literally Don Watts was literally in his face, and he flicked it off to Berryhill. That was quite impressive, but that would be a sack all by Miles is lonesome. And that's the other part. If you count the sacks versus sacks allowed, you can also see how that works. So sometimes it's a blitzing DB that gets touched by nobody. They get a sack, but no one's credited for it because no one touched them. So that's further evidence of how sacks are recorded. You got to touch the person to count it.
Trying to find. Do you have your full college series 4 roster up? I had it right here and it's gone.
I have the Excel sheet with all the guys on.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. I got it right here. I was like, why can't I find it? I want to check something out here because I'm genuinely curious if Grant Culpepper in the chat just thinks that we're legitimately don't know, or Um,
I'll get an interesting fact for you, Don. Do you know who Grant Culpepper is?
I don't. I don't
He
know.
formerly coached the Pioneers and traded the first overall pick to the
Oh,
Bulldogs so they could get Drew Brewer.
I forget his name. I forget the kid's name.
I hope you're being sarcastic, or you're deaf. Thing you didn't hear what I said. That's him.
Oh, his actual name is Grant Culpepper?
Yes, he was the head coach of the Pioneers.
Oh, I was thinking of, so who was the head coach right after him then? I was thinking of the guy right after him.
He
Who
was
was
the last
also
head coach.
of the
He
Pioneers?
was yes. Grant Culpepper was the last head coach of the Pioneers. Smitty's been controlling them ever since.
Then am I thinking of the Lancers? Did the Lancers just
The
have?
Lancer, Rozier.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm thinking about. All right, so
Same colors,
Baylor,
they're both brown. I'll give you that.
yeah. All right,
That's your
so
escape
so
caveat.
So Baylor here. So for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, so Grant Culpepper in the chat here, we're talking about, the offensive line at Baylor and quarterback and blah blah blah, and he's saying, it's the quarterback style combined with awareness and throw under pressure and senses pressure. Yeah, look, like we all know what the attributes are that make make the quarterback better and make him make better decisions. So here's Akira Otomo's attributes. He's got 99 awareness. He's got 90 throw under pressure. He's got 90 medium accuracy. And those are the ones that really matter for what we're talking about. 90 throw power, 85 deep, 85 break sack, 85 short accuracy, and 85 play action. So like 99 awareness, 90 throw under pressure. You'd like to think that he'd be able to get rid of the ball a little bit, or no, at least no sense. Throw under pressure and awareness seems like he would be able to get rid of the ball when guys are coming at him and not take those sacks. And we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the offensive line giving up, 9 sacks.
The funny part of all this is before last season, season 3, when I did my attribute grading scale, Otomo was the best quarterback I graded because literally 99 awareness, throw under pressure, medium, all those things are literally every aspect of what you look for in a quarterback. So
Right.
in theory, he has an amazing quarterback build. Just for some reason, his quarterback play is incompetent. I just don't know what it is. I know the playbook's not ideal with being Ravens. It's not the best playbook for him or probably in the game.
Is that Baylor's on the Ravens playbook?
Yeah, that's why he runs read option. Same with Michigan. They both got Baltimore's offense. So
we don't know. Man, it would be really good to know. That's something to think about. Maybe we can convince Smitty to have that be. Certainly for us. I think certainly for coaches, maybe not for players, because I think that would be just way too much. Players would want to be having input and all that. And that's,
I want this playbook. I want this
right.
playbook. This
No,
playbook's good.
I don't think.
And then we have 25 Chiefs playbooks.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for players at all. But I do think for us as coaches, it's nice to know that, okay, they're running the Ravens playbook. Maybe this is part of the reason why he's struggling, but I know that I run this playbook and he would probably play a little bit better in my playbook. So I might be able to move him up a little bit on my draft board, knowing that the reason why he's struggling is because of the playbook that he's running. And, we might not bury guys on our draft board simply because they're having a bad season.
It also plays into obviously defense as well as 3-4 defense, 4-3 defense, having 3-4 outside linebackers play coverage and coverage linebackers play pass rusher, and
right.
Yeah, you got to bing bang. Obviously, you got to have. Unfortunately, you got to try to make what best do. UNC's having that problem that they were a 4-3 last year, and now they're a 3-4 this year, and the rush depth chart's all good. So when they come out of nickel, their DNs are playing DN, defensive tackles playing defensive tackle. But when they come out in base, they have coverage linebackers rushing the passer, and they got their defensive ends playing D tackle, and it's just it's I don't know, it's weird. So they're not having the best. They're not having their best outcome for UNC's defense in particular. But
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we got plenty of season left to go.
oh yeah, there's still a lot of
Plenty of
football.
time for some of these prospects that are underperforming to turn it around. Plenty of time for these teams to turn it around. There's only a handful of teams that I would say are legitimately completely done and should just leave now, go take a shower, go golfing. I don't care what you want to do. Go eat an Eskimo pie or something. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. Just go home because your season's over.
Oh, sorry, Arizona, not Baltimore. My mistake. Smay just corrected me in the chat. Still, I'll read off the clip.
Baylor and Michigan run Arizona, not Baltimore. Okay, but similar. So spread with a lot of QB run.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, let's take a look. I want to get into a couple teams that are a bit of, I guess I'll say on the outside looking in. A couple of what I like to call dark horse contenders. Right. So there's two teams that I have in mind that I think are what I would call dark horse contenders. Neither one of them are in the top 4, 5, probably even right now. But I think that they are legitimate dark horse contenders. And if things fall correctly, if things go their way throughout the rest of the season, I could envision a scenario where one or both of these teams could find their way into the playoff. And so I'm going to show you my two teams, Mitchie. You tell me what you think, and then if you have a couple teams that you think you would consider to be dark horse contenders. So here's my two teams that I have that I would consider dark horse contenders for this season, and that's the Clemson Tigers and the Washington Huskies. And I'm going to tell you why. So for me, the Clemson Tigers, it all comes down to offense, right? And when I look at that offense and you look at the performance on a seems like a weekly basis from Flame Campbell, right? The numbers that he puts up, that offense, Cinco Cardenas can get him the ball. That offense can go. And then even in the run game, they've got a fantastic running game as well. Drawing a blank, give me here. Noah Walker. Right? Like Noah Walker is legit on that team. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good running back. They've got good receivers. Last week we saw it wasn't just Flame Campbell that put up the numbers. You mentioned Simmons with the 9 catches, or Simmons with 9 for $178 and a tutty. Like, this Clemson team is good. And yes, Miami is the front runner. And no, there's probably not going to be two teams from the ACC that make the Final Four. But again, this is why they're a dark horse contender. I think Clemson legitimately has a chance, if things fall their way, that they could get in. I certainly could see them playing in the ACC championship game. And then on the flip side, Washington, I just think the USC Trojans, I need to see them get back to a little bit more of what they did last year. And this Washington team is pretty good. They've got some user submits. They've got guys on both sides of the ball that are performing well. And I think that the Pac-12 is kind of, it's a difficult conference, right? I mean, I think it's more difficult than we have originally anticipated. I think USC is a good team. Oregon's a good team. Washington's a good team. Arizona State's a good team. I think the only cakewalks, the only cupcake automatic wins in that conference right now are Stanford and UCLA.
And UCLA is fighting. They played good against Clemson. They put up a really good fight against Maryland. So I wouldn't even count them out particularly.
So give me Clemson and Washington here. What do you have? Do you have a team or two teams that you have? I would say, no one that's undefeated right now, no one that's in the top, 4, 5, 6 teams, but a team that is kind of on the outside looking in that you think is a potential dark horse contender.
Well, I just said their names, and no, it's not UCLA. Terrapins.
Maryland, all right.
Maryland has actually looked really good through these first 3 weeks. Chip Taylor's the other quarterback that hasn't thrown an interception. He's 7 touchdowns, 0 picks, 2 remaining. and then obviously we spoke very highly about Kareem Parker throughout the last couple weeks. Connor Jameson has looked absolutely electric. Obviously, just has 236-yard game. And then even Maryland's defense, obviously, yeah, it did have its struggles against UCLA's offense, which is kind of scary. But they've been handling business on defense. And yeah, if Maryland can compete, obviously Michigan's down the dumps, so it's kind of like opened up number 2 in the Big 12 in the Big 10. Like
Right.
obviously Ohio State won, so and Michigan's fighting for their lives every week, trying to get out of the dumps. So yeah, number 2 is wide open because it ain't Iowa, it
Nope.
ain't Penn State. Penn
Nope.
State's had their moments, but it ain't Penn State.
I
And
mean, Wisconsin, don't sleep on them.
maybe it's Wisconsin. They did put 49 points up on that team. I can't Oklahoma State. So yeah, maybe it's Wisconsin, but yeah, I think Maryland's got themselves an open door for them to take if they want it for the number 2 team. Yeah, but as Pecan saying, hate it, but that team up north beats Maryland. Maybe that will be a very crucial game. Honestly, the winner of that game is probably it's going to be the
front
team
runner. Yeah, it's probably front runner for the 2, right?
Yeah, the winner of Maryland, Michigan. That's going to be must-watch football. That's not like
I think that's a great game. When
is that game?
We'll find out right now. When is that game? Michigan, that's week 4.
There you go.
This week.
That's this week.
Oh yeah, that's this week. So Michigan, Maryland, that's must-see TV. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think you're spot on. I think you're 100% right. I think the winner of that game,
Sunday at 6.
The winner of that game, Sunday at 6:00, is probably, in the driver's seat for a spot in the Big Ten championship game, likely against
the winner this week,
Ohio State
in week 4, probably plays a factor. That's crazy.
Unless, but again, like I said, Wisconsin, Wisconsin's there and capable, and I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Mitchie, I gotta get you out of here. We're gonna do this giveaway. If you want to stick around and watch the giveaway, but I got a couple things I want to go over real quick. I got
to spin the wheel and show your.
I got to spin the wheel and yeah. So appreciate the time as always. We'll talk soon.
Yeah,
and
good to have you on, buddy. And have a good rest of your night. And good luck to whoever wins the giveaway.
That's it.
5% chance according to Rohan.
Yeah. All right. 5% chance of it going to Rohan. I think the odds are probably about accurate. I think there's about 20 entries right now so far in that. So for those of you that is moments away, I will be giving that t-shirt away probably in about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll do that. But before I do that, guys, something that's been bothering me. I know when I sent out the agenda for the show yesterday, I believe it was, I put on there, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. There's certain things that coaches don't like, and there's certain things that we see you guys doing that drive us crazy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these things don't drive coaches crazy. Maybe they only drive me crazy, and that could entirely be true. But I would be willing to bet that not paying attention, not listening, is something that every coach cannot stand. I know for a fact every single member of the front office hates it. So much so where you get threatened with suspensions and being booted for not listening and not paying attention. So I know the front office hates it. I hate it. And I'd be willing to bet that the rest of the coaches in the RFL hate it as well. And so I saw something this past week, and it was, I guess it was harmless. It really was harmless, but it just kind of irked me a little bit. And we've got players in the chat, in the RFL chat, not in the chat here right now. We've got players in the RFL chat asking questions to other players. For example, let's just say the question was, hey, man, what are your stats for this game? And your response is, I had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm sorry, what? No, you didn't. So I ask you again. For this game? And then you repeat. Yes. No, you didn't. No one in the history of things has had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in a game. And you just aren't paying attention. And then finally realize after everyone starts throwing shade at you, oh, I thought you meant on the season. You meant in this game. Yes, we meant in this game. He said in this game twice. And you answered twice incorrectly. Pay attention. There's nothing worse than coaches trying to put together a draft board of 100 to 150 guys. Because for those of you that don't know, there's like almost 300 of you when it comes to user submits and generics, okay? When we're putting together our draft board and we've got 50 to 75 names, maybe even 100 names on this draft board, and we're trying to get information. This wasn't a coach. This was just another player asked the question. Anthony Fry knows. I'm not going to tell you his name, but Anthony Fry knows. Not because I told him, because I can tell based on his comment that he knows. We don't want that. Like, just take a minute and just sit right there. And I'll tell you a story about how I became the Prince of Bel-Air. It's because I listen to what people have to say. When people ask questions, listen to them. When people say, hey, man, how'd you do this game? Hey, I had 5 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown. Not, I had 17 catches for 425 yards and 5 touchdowns. No, you knucklehead. That's what you have on the season. Pay attention. Did you went to the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids That Can't Read good? Come on. 4 touchdowns and 400 yards is not a 1-game performance. It's a 3-game performance. Do it again, and we're taking away the nickname. Okay. All right. That's it. I had to get that one out there. I was going to lead with the show, but I figured, you know what? I'm going to save that one for the end. Get my little rant out of the way. I'm going to actually throw this out there to you guys. I've been struggling coming up with a name for what I want to call my daily rant. Years ago, I've done it in I used to do sports broadcasting professionally, and I've hosted live shows, and I've always had like a rant at some point, a rant about something good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. There's always something that I'm going to rant about. And I've been having a hard time actually coming up with what I want to call it. So obviously I've got the done deal for picks, and I don't even know. I think I'm done with this. So I think this is what I had originally done for parts of last year. And I think I'm 90% sure. Rohan can probably correct me, Rohan, if you're in the chat. I'm pretty sure this is what I was doing for the opening rant. Was I'm done with this. I just don't know if I want to do anything that really necessarily has to do with the name. I don't think it has to have my name in it. I don't think everything that I do has to have my name in it. But who knows? Maybe someone will come up with something good, and let me know. But the rant is definitely something that's never going to go away from Miners Live. I think it's why many of you guys tune into the show, because it's fun and you enjoy it. And so that is something that will never go away. Now, something that is going to go away is my face. Because we are going to, let's see. We got it here. Yeah, here it is. All right. So here we have the wheel. All right. We have the wheel here ready to go. Now I'm going to ask you guys, I guess we can make this fun. we can make this fun, and I can do something where it has to go 2 out of like your name has to get called 3 times. Not just, whoever gets it first, but your name has to be called 3 times. And the first person to have their name called 3 times wins. Or I can Thanks, Smitty. For those of you that wondering why I'm laughing, Smitty's idea in the chat, Dunn grind my gears. Peter, Dunn grind my gears. All right, so we can do one of two things. I can either just do one shot deal here and I roll the wheel one time and whoever it is gets the gear, gets the shirt. Or let me see if I can or I can change it so we go 3 and your name has to pop up 3 times. I'm going to kind of leave that to you guys and see what you think here. If you want to throw those suggestions in the chat, if you want me to just go just one time, Anthony Fry says just one time. Just Rohan just once. CC, don't ever laugh like that again. I'm sorry, man. Like I'll do anything for a good laugh. You know me. Pecan, come on, dude. All right, so hold on. I said I would give you guys till 7:30. Pecan's here at 8:23, 7 minutes before the RFL podcast, and I'm getting you out of here in 3 minutes before it. Should I add Pecan? Should I add Pecan to allow him to be eligible for this? What do you guys think? I mean, he is playing for the number 1 team in the country. Cam Baker says no. All right, and he was the first one. So sorry, Pecan. We'll do. He was asking the whole podcast at the beginning. Oh, all right. I didn't see it. All right, I apologize. So hold on. Let me add on Patrick Connery. Oops. There we go. Hold on. Patrick Connery. There we go. Color, you're going to be red because the Ohio State is red. All right. Everything good. Connery's on there. All right, guys. So here we go. I want to get you out of here with a few minutes before. This is your chance. So everyone on here, Ronnie Shanahan, Eric Strotter, Alvin Mack, Olin Shaw, Eric Ashley, Michael Blount, Daniel Silverio, Rohan Boxy, Luis Cardenas, DJ Evans, Patrick Connery, Arthur Allman Arnett, Kaishan Williams, Miles McCain, Chris Polk, Jacob McCall, and Anthony Fry. All of you are on the wheel and eligible. I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel right now, and one of you will win some RFL gear. Good luck, best of luck, and here we go. Wow. I didn't know when it was going to stop. I actually thought that it was going to stop on Arthur Allman Arnett. And I thought to myself, you know what? That is perfect. No one deserves to win this more than Arthur Allman Arnett, because that is Rapid Fire Gaming. For those of you that don't know, he was like the number 1, number 2. Him and Rohan have been like the number 1 and 1A and 1B supporters of this show from the very beginning, and neither one of them had a player. Rohan still doesn't. Arthur Allman Arnett just got a player this year. So perfect. I thought it was going to land on you, AAA, but it didn't. DJ Evans, wide receiver at Baylor. Congratulations. You, my friend, are the proud winner of the Miners Live subscriber giveaway. I'll get with you in a little bit, get your shirt size. I'm glad you guys appreciate that, that little Nintendo music that I had going for you there. Evans, I will get with you on your shirt size. We can figure out how you want me to go ahead and get that shirt to you. But Congratulations once again to DJ Evans, the winner here of the t-shirt giveaway. Again, thank you guys so much for everything. We're up over the 100 subscribers mark. We got about 2 minutes left until the RFL podcast goes. So I'm going to go ahead and get you out of here, guys. Stay tuned for the RFL podcast. I know Smitty's working hard getting that together. Smitty even checking in here all the way up until 8:20. So it looks like he's probably ready to go. So he's getting ready for that. So we've got a full RFL all night, Wednesday nights, RFL all night for you guys. So appreciate all the support. Congratulations again to DJ Evans. Until next time, until next week, next Wednesday, I am your host, Chris Dunn, head coach and general manager of the Sacramento Miners. We will see you guys again next Wednesday for another episode of Miners Live. Good night and take care, everybody.